So Jesus tells us that a man's enemies will be members of his own household. Well, all you got to do is look at, say, any sort of reality TV show and know that he's right, whether it be Kardashians, Osbournes, any of them. And there's plenty of family dysfunction that shows that, yes, oftentimes the enemies are members of our own household. But what I want to show you is how to hold this teaching in a way that it becomes useful to track the progress of our own spiritual development. So, you don't have to look very far in Scripture to see how members of our own household can be our enemies. Eve was Adam's enemy, right? She's the one who leads him astray. Cain was Abel's enemy who killed him, and, well, he's definitely a member of his own household. Joseph's brothers throw him in a pit and sell him off to foreigners. And, well, if you keep on going through, you'll find that Samson's wives, well, they're well known for causing him heaps of trouble. Solomon had even more wives, and they caused him plenty of trouble and ultimately had the kingdom lost from him because of them. So by the time we get to the end of the Old Testament and Micah says, don't trust a friend, don't trust a neighbor, don't trust your wife, don't trust anybody, you think he's coming off a little paranoid, kind of like conspiracy theory-ish, but the reality is he's just speaking from what he's seen in life and probably studied in Scripture. He goes, you know what? Trust no one. No thanks. Well, if you turn to 18th century philosopher, scientist, and theologian Emanuel Swedenborg, you'll find that what he says is, well, we should be similarly paranoid about the things that we love and the things that we believe, because these things are often enemies of our own household. Because his understanding of Scripture is that there are multiple layers of meaning, different layers or levels of understanding to it. And he says that when you look throughout it, a father is about a kind of a core goodness, or conversely a core evil that we have. Mothers are about things that we believe. The truth, the things that we believe are true, is our spiritual mother. And these two things that we have in our core, they spawn all sorts of other things, right? Daughters, sons, nieces, nephews, they all create a whole range. We have this kind of like a family of thoughts, beliefs, desires, actions, all kind of within us. And that the Bible is showing us how to deal with this family network. You get a little glimpse of this when Jesus is talking to some of the Jews. He says, I speak what I have seen with my father, and you also do what you have seen with your father. They answered and said to him, our father is Abraham. Jesus said to them, if you were Abraham's son, you would do the works of Abraham. You do the works of your father. So while the Jews were being literal about who their father was, Jesus is saying, no, your father is that you like to do evil things. That's your father. That's the underlying, the core, goodness or evil in this case that you have. So when Jesus then says, I'm here to set a man against a father and a daughter against his mother, he's not really trying to cause, shall we say, family feuds. He's trying to get us to rise up against our own self. He's trying to get us to see that, there are things within us that aren't good and that we identify with, and they're going to be hard to get rid of because, well, they're part of who we think we are. Now, we can use this kind of idea to really track progress of our spiritual life. Take a look at the story of King David and the series of enemies he has. At the beginning, it starts out easy enough. He's got to beat a lion, and he's got to beat a bear, and then he's got to beat Goliath. Now, these are pretty easy to pick out that, oh yeah, these are the bad guy. The bear is coming over to eat one of my sheep. I need to kill it, right? Goliath, he's trying to take over our country. I got to go beat that. Very easy, clear to see that this is the bad guy. But as things progress for David, the enemies get more and more close. They start to become enemies of his own household. Next one is King Saul, right? Saul gets jealous of David. He tries to kill him. But David won't kill Saul because, well, he's the Lord's anointed. He's probably close to Saul in some ways, close with Saul's son Jonathan. And then the next enemy we get when David comes to be king is Joab. Now, Joab is the commander of David's army. And what we also find is that Joab is David's nephew. The problem with Joab is that, well, he goes out and he kills people that he's not supposed to. David says, don't kill this guy, and well, he does, and that really upsets David, but David doesn't do anything about it. And this is kind of the reality that Jesus is speaking to. There are things that we have to rise up and fight against that are members of our own household. Joab's a member of David's household, and he's not dealing with them properly. He identifies with Joab. He's too close to him. And it's only going to get worse. The next enemy that David has is his own son, Absalom. Absalom leads a rebellion to take over the kingship. He has his father kicked out of the palace on the run, and Absalom takes over. When David kind of regroups and sends Joab after Absalom to regain the throne, what does David say? Take it easy on my boy. Don't kill my boy. Despite all the terrible things Absalom's done to his father, David still identifies with him. Don't kill my boy. Of course, Joab kills the boy, and he's not a good guy, and we see that David's not happy about this and tells his son Solomon later on his deathbed, hey, make sure you kill Joab. The point of all this, though, is to see that the enemies really are within our own household. And if we can turn this on ourselves and say, well, what is it that I feel like I'm being asked to give up spiritually? What is God telling me I need to stop doing? Some of our early, changes in life, some of our earlier conquests might be obvious to spot. Oh, you know what? I need to be less greedy. Oh, I need to be more forgiving. We can see that very clearly that, I wasn't being nice. I wasn't holding people in a good way. Okay, I need to stop being a jerk. Fair enough. But what happens when the next set of trials come? The next set of trials are probably going to relate more towards what we identify with, who we think we are. And those things are going to be hard for us to give up. Imagine this. You're the son or daughter of an alcoholic, and you've got some dysfunction in your life because of it. And you say, well, look, I'm just this way. This is what's happened in my life, and this is the way I am. Well, what are we doing in that case? We've got an Absalom. We've got a Joab. We've got something in our life that's destructive, and we're not willing to give it up because we identify with it. It's part of my household. Maybe your problems are different. Maybe you've got an anger management problem. Maybe you worry a lot. You were poor and you didn't have any money as a kid, and so therefore you worry about finances. You say, well, this is just the way I am. Jesus is telling us these are enemies of our own household. These are core held beliefs that just need to go. It's a father, it's a mother, and something that's been around with us a long time, and it may have actually been beneficial at some point. But at some point, we need to move out and leave our mom and dad behind and start our own life. And it's a life that has an identity in God, not in our worldly life around us. So the next time you feel like God's asking you to give up something big, well, He probably is. He might even be asking you to give up something that you consider as part of your identity. That's okay, because He's already warned in advance that, you know what? A man's enemies are the members of your own household. And that's what He's trying to get you to do, to get rid of that. So I hope this perspective helps. I hope it's useful to you. If you want to see more videos, I've got some popular ones on the scope of Scripture that kind of work through this process of how we deal with the external things in our life, and we progress into deeper things as we go through. If nothing else, thanks for watching. All the best. God bless.